But first off, let's start with the movie that has the worst title of this week. It's To Catch a Killer. And simply put, it's set in Baltimore. And Shailene Woodley is a cop. She has a past. And she's recruited by an FBI official played by Ben Mendelsohn to help her, quote unquote, catch a killer, specifically a sniper who on New Year's Eve killed easily over 20 people, a couple of people in the high rise and apartment buildings out. He or she is a cold-hearted killer. So there's a lot of people who are dying, and it's up to Ben Mendelsohn's character and Shailene Woodley's character, along with a team of. I mean, Woodley's character plays a liaison between the Baltimore PD and the FBI, and then Mendelsohn is the smart FBI profiler / official. So that is their dynamic for To Catch a Killer. This movie's pretty much close to 2 hours. We're recording a little bit late because Eric Holmes has fresh eyes. I saw it today, but Eric Holmes, as of like maybe 10 or 15 minutes ago, finished To Catch a Killer. Eric Holmes, what is your fresh take on this movie?
This is probably a movie that should be nominated for an Oscar and will not be. I love this movie. So it does the Silence of the Lambs thing, the Seven thing, the Zodiac thing, the Prisoners thing. But also it's kind of updated today because it's got commentary on the, how the news media treats tragic events. It has commentary on how the police are mostly incompetent and usually have their priorities misplaced with how to treat people. And it does all that without treating the killer as a hero, which is very easy to do in a movie like this. It starts off great, has a great premise, and just kind of keeps going. Yeah, I just got done watching it and I wish I was still watching it. It's just kind of had me going from start to finish.
1 hour and 59 minutes, Eric Holmes. Any flab on this R-rated film, or did you think the length was okay?
And in fact, so like a lot of movies, they'll do we talked about Tetris, for example. Love Tetris, I believe we gave it 4 stars. But my problems with Tetris is that it had too much subplot where it didn't need it. This is just absolutely straight focus on the story. It's focus on the case. It's focus on the characters that matter within the case. And it's focus on the social commentary that it's, expressing. And yeah, I didn't notice one part where it's like, you could have cut that. It's long, but it's lean. Because what would you cut from it? Maybe 5 seconds of a scene of Shailene Woodley walking into a room, maybe 2 seconds of Ben Mendelsohn leaving a room, maybe. But other than that, no, there wasn't any plot points or God, I don't think there was any subplot. And like all the subtext was text, which for some people might be annoying. But I've said this before in certain things that there's certain things that our society is just so blatantly stupid and doesn't catch on to. So a movie like this has to be kind of beat you over the head with it because it's a problem. There are problems that have been persisting for a long time. So if a movie's going to make a comment about that, it's got to, hey, McFly, you in there, McFly? That sort of thing, because we're clearly not getting it on our own. So if we're going to pick anything up from a movie, you gotta use a sledgehammer sometime.
Okay, cool. Bruce, you might have more information on this than I do because it's directed and co-written by Damien Cifron, Scifron, Argentinian filmmaker from a movie that maybe you might have liked years ago. Can you give us a little bit of insight on that and then your overall big picture take on To Catch a Killer?
Well, I think Eric's seen it too. The Wild Tales. This is the same director that made Wild Tales. I do not know why this director is not making way more movies. I believe if you look at his IMDb, I think Wild Tales was 2000, almost 10 years ago, maybe. Mm-hmm. And I think he's got maybe a TV series and maybe another movie in there. But
I don't think so.
There should be like a movie every 2 years from this director. And this director is producing really great work. So here's the thing with this movie. I think it has a lot of the same DNA with the movies that Eric mentioned. Exactly. Especially you really see there are some Silence of the Lambs connections here, with the young FBI. Well, she's not FBI, but she's kind of recruited as a de facto FBI agent because they see that she's kind of got some real observational skills. Like she's above and beyond just the cop on the street, which she starts out as. But what I loved about this movie, there's several things I really like about this movie. One is the characters are smart and the script is smart too. So it lets us understand how they're figuring things out as they go, but it doesn't have to resort to a bunch of exposition dumps. It lets you learn through the activities. Little things like, for example, the opening is kind of this montage of all these shootings, which is really well done, really sets the stakes. And then you have Shailene as a cop on the street, just like running towards the building, which is amazing. And little scenes like she stops and says, "Stop, film the people coming out of this building. If the killer's in there, it's one of these people." Little things like that. And they don't forget that. They let that be part of the story. And then later on, when they're trying to figure out, where the shooter was at, it shows them setting up the lasers and how that works. And they don't explain it all to you, but it makes sense. And it's cool looking, and it's cool like police work, and it's interesting. And then on top of that, there are some great tense set pieces amid the great police work. So I'm not going to say what happens in these scenes. There's a scene in a mall. It's an extended scene, a before and after scene. And that's probably a good 15, 20 minutes of the movie. And I was enthralled by that. And then there's a scene in a drugstore, I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. Could have been left out of this movie. Like, theoretically, you could say, "Oh, we could leave this out. This is kind of," but it's not, and it shows us it tells you about characters, and it's also really tense, and it's also really good. This is how you make a post Seven, all those other movies that Eric just mentioned, movie, and still make it vital, still make it count. And unfortunately, I feel like this is the kind of movie that's getting no press and it's just kind of going under the radar. And it's got a really uninteresting title. And I'm sorry to say it has an interesting title, but it's true.
Yeah.
I can't remember that title. And I just watched the movie, Zodiac. You can remember that title, The Silence of the Lambs. That's weird. It goes in your head. So this movie should have at least a memorable title, because I think it's going to get lost in the woodwork, and I don't think it should.
Yeah, this is going to be. Oh, this is going to be one of those movies that if you guys bring it up, be like, remember To Catch a Killer? And I'll be like, I don't think I saw that, with Ben Mendelsohn and Shane. Oh, okay. Yeah, that one. This is going to be that movie where I'll remember the movie forever. I will forget the title tomorrow.
The original title of this movie was Misanthrope. Maybe
Dude.
That's better. That's definitely better.
Well, definitely better, right? At least you're going to give it, at least it's definitely better.
I wouldn't say it's spectacular, but it's better. I mean,
it kind of is, though, because like it fits. It covers the killer. It covers the police department. It covers the news media. It covers, dude. Stop going.
Shailene's character too. Shailene's character is a misanthrope as well. I mean,
right, exactly. Look, and Damien Sifron, before this, he was actually in development for a couple of years on I believe it's the $6 Million Man, or I guess they were calling it the $6 Billion Man, with Mark Wahlberg. They parted over creative differences. Maybe that's why this movie was held back. This production for To Catch a Killer was completed over 2 years ago, I think in the year 2021, and it was been developed since 2019. So I wanted to mention, Bruce, you were talking about set pieces for To Catch a Killer, really good as far as rewatchability factor, because there are moments you can go back, if you have this on digital or physical media, that you might want to just go back on and see, okay, well, I want to see this really cool dinner sequence between a couple of people. Or speaking of garbage dump, let's go to the garbage dump sequence that involves a couple of characters. My goodness, I really like that. So on a very surface level, this has rewatchability factor. There are some really cool. The third act is a jaw dropper, from my opinion, as far as performance and execution. There's so many different levels. I think this is going to be a movie that is slept on. And I also feel good that this movie exists. I also feel bad that when we were growing up, To Catch a Killer would be a film that would be released on a Friday. And right now, for all intents and purposes, this is being released this Friday on over 500 screens. We don't see these kind of movies too much anymore. And it would look good on the big screen. I would have actually paid money and been happy to watch this on the big screen, because like you were saying, there's some great visual set pieces, and it really demands sort of a big screen kind of attention. Most people will be seeing it, unfortunately, on their home entertainment system, which is just as good. But there are even the most boring moments of To Catch a Killer where you think it's going to be a person talking amidst other police officers, or seemingly sequences that could have been shot in an obligatory fashion are not. It's just a well done movie. So I was surprised at how much I enjoyed To Catch a Killer. Final thoughts from you guys before we get to ratings.
I guess this doesn't usually happen nowadays, but like the Shawshank Redemption type movies where like it's on you flip through it and it's on TV, and you catch like a scene of Shawshank Redemption like halfway through, and you're like, I guess I'm watching the rest of this now. This is one of those movies for me. if that was a thing anymore, but it's not. But if I walk in the room and my brother's watching this, I'll be like, well, I guess I'm watching the rest of To Catch a Killer, or I'm watching the rest of Misanthrope now.
Eric. Okay, Bruce Purkey, let's start with you for your rating on To Catch a Killer.
I'm going to go 4.5. I think it's really, really good.
Wow, 4.5 stars. And we were thinking we're going to get one of these straight to DVD type of experiences. But I remember you saying, hey, Greg, this is directed by Damon Sifron, and who knows, it could be good. I agree with you, Bruce. I'm giving To Catch a Killer 4.5 stars. And I was really amazed at how really good this movie was. Eric Holmes, you're going to round off our ratings.
5-star banger. I love this movie. I love this movie so much. And then after I'm done loving this movie, I'm going to love it some more. This movie is so good. And I love it. 5-star banger. Easy.
You love it so much. You be part of our CinemAddicts Facebook group. What are you going to tell our CinemAddicts Facebook group members, all 600 plus of them? This is going to be your stump speech to get them in theaters for this weekend. What are you going to tell them?
I'm going to tell them to go to the theater and watch Misanthrope. And then when the person at the box office looks confused, go, I mean, To Catch a Killer or Predator or whatever. The one with Ben Mendelsohn and Shailene Woodley.
Okay, so that is To Catch a Killer, opens in theaters Friday, starring Shailene Woodley, and oh my gosh, Ben Mendelsohn, so good. There is another actor I want to mention, but I want to surprise you guys. I think you guys know what I'm talking about, because this person, he or she, is very, very good in a movie that I really enjoyed as well, but we can't really mention that.
Yes. I was about to pump the brakes on you. It's like, do not
say anything.
But I completely agree. I know what you're talking about, and I agree.
Yeah, right, Bruce? Should I mention that person's name who should not be named?
No, do not do it.
I'll say it's a Kevin Spacey in Seven kind of situation. Like someone will pop up and you go, oh, it's them, cool, awesome. and then just that's all you need to know.
They make quite an entrance too, I would say.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Wow, what a movie, To Catch a Killer. I think one of our biggest surprises this year.